My name is Adrian Pagdin from AJP Consulting. Welcome to our e-learning series on project management. Each module is designed as a refresher for one of the key topics, tools or techniques on project management, starting with completing a terms of reference through to completing project closure and lessons learned. Module number 9, Stakeholder Management. The objective of this 5-minute refresher capsule is to provide you with practical tools that will enable you to identify, plan, and execute actions that will gain and maintain a guiding coalition of stakeholders who will support and sponsor the project to a successful completion. I'd like to explain stakeholder management by way of an allegory. Picture the scene. You are to present a milestone briefing to the project board. All of your colleagues will be in the room. The board is notorious for its diverse personalities. Some of them have no tolerance for detail, while others cannot make decisions without it. One of the board members enjoys challenging the PMs, while another enjoys sharing her experiences regardless of how removed they are from the project focus. Imagine then the briefest of presentations delivered succinctly, without interruptions, followed up by unanimous well done, thank you, and permission to proceed. How good would that feel? Well, you achieved this because you understand the wants and needs of your stakeholders. You visited the board members that required detail prior to the meeting. You also have developed a working relationship with other stakeholders who might otherwise challenge you. Stakeholder management is a process and an art. The process gathers information that enables us to interact with stakeholders profitably, giving them what they want in return for their timely support. So let's look at stakeholder identification. A stakeholder is any person who has an interest in the process, the progress, or the outcome of a project. The process of stakeholder identification continues throughout the project lifecycle. In the table below, we've listed 3 stakeholders, and we've established some information about them. Let's take a look at them and understand how this information helps us to think about effectively managing their expectations. Our first stakeholder is the sponsor. The stake essentially is what's in it for them. So for the sponsor, they're accountable for delivery and this project's success. They contribute authority. Their power is derived from their position in the organisation, and they are interested throughout. The line manager's stake is reputation. They're providing us with resources, and if they do that and their resources perform well, their reputation will be augmented. They contribute resources. Their power is also organisational, and they're interested in the way in which we use their resources. And finally, the end user. What's in it for them? Well, the ease with which they can use this final solution. They contribute acceptance. If they don't accept the solution, it will be rejected. Their power is inferred, and they're interested in the final product. So now that we've spent a moment looking at identifying stakeholders, let's now look at how to segment them using 2 of our criteria in the table, power and interest. Let me ask you a question. Where would you like the majority of your stakeholders to be positioned on this matrix? Most people would answer involve. Involve is an evocative word, but in the context of this model and with stakeholders, it also means taking over. A stakeholder with high interest and high power is a stakeholder that's going to try and take an active interest in the project with the potential to create scope change and other issues. Where do you think the sponsor of a project normally sits in this model? If you thought consult, then you were right. High power, but low interest. Now that doesn't mean they don't care about the project. What it means is that on a day-to-day basis, there are other issues, projects, business as usual activities that have a higher priority than our project. Examples of stakeholders in the inform box would be suppliers and aware users. Examples of stakeholders in the monitor box would be unaware users, or stakeholders whose interest has waned. The reason the box is called monitor is because while a stakeholder might start off in the monitor box, they will move during the project. So the power interest matrix is a snapshot in time. Let's look now at how to pull it all together into a coherent plan. The power interest matrix showed us a snapshot of where our stakeholders are positioned at one moment in time. The plan gives us a view of the movement over the life cycle of a project. This allows us to interact with stakeholders at the right time and, importantly, to anticipate their needs. This model is showing us that at the startup, execute, and handover phases, we must focus on specific stakeholder wants and needs if we're to proceed smoothly. So I've shown you how to identify, segment, and plan for stakeholder interactions. Let's conclude with some best practice. Try and identify as many stakeholders as possible and continue to identify stakeholders throughout. Focus on those stakeholders whose power and interest are greatest at each phase of the project, and use a plan to identify and anticipate stakeholder wants and needs. We hope that you've enjoyed this 5-minute refresher capsule. Please feel free to browse our other online resources, and if you'd like to know more about our open or in-house workshops, please contact us.